What happened to the truths? The ones that put it down with no rules, no procrastination. When faced with aggravation, smashing faces with no patience, racing for the finish. Before your dreams diminish, bridges burn like incense. And homie, that's just
So, we are here, 20th anniversary of Nights at the Round Table.
20 years.
Yeah. So, let's just talk a brief moment and how this project came together. So, how long have me and you been down?
Man, we've been down over 20 years.
Yeah, for sure.
'Cause we were down way before this project even got off the ground, before we even thought about doing this, because that was a lot of years of blood, sweat, and tears just grinding, you know, really just trying to hone some skills, because, you know, initially when I first met you, it's like I wasn't ready, but I think you really put me up on game about what it meant to actually be an MC. Like, there's a difference between being a rapper and being an MC. And once that whole phase of learning took its course, you know, it was a couple of years before we finally embarked on that project of doing the first King and I.
Do you remember when we first met each other?
Man, we first met each other, freaking talent shows.
Talent show.
Doing a talent show.
Patriotic Hall.
Patriotic Hall. Oh, we used to do a lot of talent shows back in the day. That's how you got on. You had to go to these talent shows and basically hope that somebody was in the crowd to notice you. You know, and through that whole process, you just started making friends.
That's real. It was either, Brian G likes to say, either when you showed up, you either left with enemies. No, you showed up, you probably had people that were in different camps, right? Mm-hmm. But if what you were doing was dope, then you would leave with a friend or somebody that did not want to see you on that level the next time. It's like, can't beat them, I got to join them.
I got to join them.
Yeah.
I got to join them. And that's how you started getting crews and started getting people clicking up.
That's true.
You know, we got with AWT, you know, they had Nutty Biz over there. I mean, yeah, Billion going. I mean, it was just a lot of people that clicked up and everybody had the same passion.
That's right.
Not only that, you also got a chance to run into a lot of either whack or dope producers.
Yeah, true. Very true. That's the only way to really get music during that time period.
Yeah.
Was to actually meet people that were making music just like you were on their own and finding ways of recording. Exactly. And that was the hardest thing, I think, was actually trying to find somewhere to record.
Find somewhere to record and the means to record.
Yeah, true.
I mean, because, you know, I think that's really where we started clicking too, because everybody started piecemealing their equipment together.
That's right.
You know, everybody had some piece to the puzzle to put together, and collectively we were able to make something work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you had a task cam back in the day. It's like,
oh, you was winning.
You were winning.
Yeah. D88s, 8-track, that was sick. Yeah, I remember that show I was performing. Mr. C was my hype man.
Nah, Mr. C.
We performed. You guys performed. We performed. And it was kind of like mutual. Once we saw you guys backstage, we was like, oh, man, your performance is dope. You was like, yeah, your performance is dope, too. We need to link up. Mm-hmm. So then the information as far as talent shows, we could share those and go forward so everybody knew the same information.
Exactly.
At that time, producer Derrick Bomb Thread Harris, R.I.P., was producing, and I think you guys were rehearsing in a garage.
In the garage.
Right by LAX Tacos.
Right by LAX Tacos in Inglewood.
Inglewood. Yeah, I remember, do you remember the first time I came through there?
And when we were in there rehearsing?
Yeah.
Yep.
So you remember me carrying a little person? Yeah. So I showed up with my son in the little bassinet, little carrier, and sat him on the floor while we were in there rehearsing and vibing and trying to get everything together. Yep. That was crazy. Yeah, so he was managing at that time,
He was managing at that time.
Right. So then after that episode, I think Derrick had a spot that he was living with his girl in an apartment.
Yep, right in
so
Inglewood.
What was he producing on at that time?
He was producing
ASR 10?
ASR 10, and I don't think he didn't have an SP then.
Nope.
He didn't have an SP then.
Didn't
Yeah,
have
he
an
had the
MP.
ASR yeah, because he only had the keyboard.
Okay.
He only had that keyboard. He would come over my house and sample all my dad's records. You know, he spent hours over there just going through my dad's records.
Wow.
You know, that's how he and I really started becoming tight. You know, because he would come over there listening to records, sampling the records.
I didn't even know that's where you got a sound from.
Yo,
wow.
He used to come over there and sample records all the time. And then I started going to my aunt's house because my aunt had a huge record collection, and I would start borrowing records from her to let him borrow them.
Wow.
You know, I wasn't supposed to let anybody borrow them, but
yeah.
you know, he'd be like, "Hey man, you got this album?"
Derrick
I'm like,
wasn't gonna stop.
Call my aunt, she have it, I'll go pick it up, and he sample off of it.
Wow.
You know,
that's crazy. So then after that episode, I think at one point he moved back to his mom and
to his
dad's
parents' house right there on
in
Fairview.
Ladera.
Uh-huh.
And then we all would click up, but there came a time where we didn't have any equipment whatsoever. Like nobody had anything. I think at one point I had an MPC 60.
Mm-hmm. You sure did.
I loaned it to Derrick. Derrick fell in love with it. He was like, "Oh man, we rocking now, we rolling, okay." And then I had to take it and let my friend who actually gave me the hookup on buying it, I had to let him use it, and he bartered it to get his car out the shop. And I thought that he was gonna give me either my money back or my machine, but unfortunately that didn't come to fruition. And I remember Derrick was so upset by that whole move. He was livid. But we all sat around. I remember the summer where we were sitting on Derrick's lawn, and it was like at least 10 of us.
Yeah.
Sitting around. You had your VW your VW wagon.
Yep.
And we were sitting on the lawn, and everybody was like, "Man, how are we going to come up with enough money or a studio or a place for us to record? We got all this talent, all these ideas. How is this going to work?"
It's going to work.
And then you moved to Hawthorne.
Yeah, I moved to Hawthorne, and that's when I had my son then. 'Cause our sons are about the same age.
Yep.
There, and my cousin kept coming by the house trying to find me, but he kept missing me. And one day he finally caught me, and he came back there, and Derrick and I used to sit back there playing PlayStation all night. And we were sitting there, and we just started playing some music for him. We just kept talking about what we wanted to do. And he was just like, "Man, I got some money, and I've been trying to figure out what to do with it." And that right there was the spark of Atomic.
All right.
Right there.
Yeah, Atomic.
Yeah.
Always terroristic on the microphone.
Always terroristic on a microphone.
So that started off as an idea, but what did it blossom into? Because I remember when I talked to you guys about it, you were like, "Hey man, my cousin thinking about putting together the studio, Mr. Rick." And I was like, "Yo, okay, cool. It sound good." I'm like, "Let me know, when y'all rolling." And I think around that, I didn't get the VS880 yet, did I?
Nope, that was after the VS880 came after
the studio. Okay.
After the studio.
So the studio, we needed a location. You had the plug on that.
Everything just fell into place because my landlord at the time, which was my best friend's dad, had another business that had a side room in it, and he had offered it to us.
Wow.
And he was like, "Hey, if you guys go in there and just refurbish the room, you can use that room." And that's how we ended up coming up on a bomb shelter.
Wow.
And it was a happenstance. But that room turned out to just be the perfect place for us to get a lot of our foundation down.
I remember that.
You know?
So the bomb shelter was a studio that was built from ground up. Mr. Rick, you, a couple of the homies, Derrick, really put it together. I remember when I walked in there, it looked just like an empty space. And then the next time I came back through, there was a bookshelf that opened up into the studio. And then you walked inside, and then the vocal booth was in the back, and then there was a fish tank.
Yes.
To the left.
A fish tank full of piranhas.
It was, that's right, piranha. I remember feeding the piranha. So that was crazy.